And continuing our coverage of the Murdaugh murder trial with Ronnie Richter of the Bland Richter law firm. Ronnie is helping us understand potential defense and prosecution strategies and also the potential impact of these strategies on the trial and what the jurors took in. Ronnie, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Shocked, betrayed, mad. I'm reading the words of Chris Wilson. Chris Wilson is identified on that stand as Alec Murdaugh's former roommate and also his best friend. Those are the words that he used to describe how he felt after he says he discovered that his best friend stole nearly $200,000 from him after he'd stood by Alec Murdaugh after the murders of his wife and son. Really compelling moments. And Chris Wilson comes across as credible, reliable, thoughtful, because he's also an attorney.
Yeah, I thought his testimony was really powerful on both sides of the coin. So from the state's point of view, you could see why they wanted to call him. Because yes, he was so taken aback. He thought he knew Alex Murdaugh. He thought that they were best friends. To be that stunned by what had taken place, even to have no knowledge of this alleged opioid addiction that Alex confessed to him that he'd been struggling with for 20 years. In the state's case, you're asking the question, well, if Chris Wilson doesn't know who Alex Murdaugh is, does anybody really know who he is? Then on the flip side of the coin for the defense, I thought they were very effective in showing character evidence through Chris Wilson of Alex as a loving husband and father. And the timeline is not great for the state through Chris Wilson, because Chris described how Memorial Day weekend, they all had a party together at the beach, and there was even video, and Chris cried when he watched it, remembering that relationship that he had with his good friend. And then the very next weekend, they're watching a USC baseball game 2 days before the murder. Two families together, vacationing together, spending that intimate time together. And it's kind of hard to conceive that just 2 days after that, that same person that you thought you knew could have brutally killed his wife and son.
What was Alec Murdaugh's reaction, his demeanor as he listened to his best friend?
It was, you could tell it was impactful on Alec, that he looked saddened, he looked embarrassed, he looked hurt. He looked appropriately emotional that his friend was in such pain. So I think if the jury's observing him through Chris Wilson, on the balance, that was a better witness for the defense than it was for the state, on balance.
But it's certainly effective for both sides.
Both sides, yes.
Let's talk about the other big moment. We are talking about the big ruling that the Satterfield testimony is admissible. Gloria Satterfield, of course, was like family to the Murdaugh family. She was with them for more than 2 decades. She was really more than their housekeeper. She knew the boys pretty much from the time they were born. She slipped and fell, died as a result of her injuries. The family was supposed to receive a settlement, got nothing. You were very much a part of that case.
Yeah, our team was the one that uncovered that case. Our team got involved when we first thought there was only $500,000 missing. Through the case that we pursued against Alec and others, we discovered they actually took $4.3 million. And this is the hill that Dick and Team Murdaugh fought for. Now, they've objected to all his financial crimes evidence, but they really fought for this one. And the argument they made to the court was, look, you've already heard enough about financial crimes. This is over the top. Now you're piling on. And the rule they cited was Rule 403. And what Rule 403 says is the court should exclude evidence that's just prejudicial and that lacks probative value. And so what the defense was saying, and they're pretty close, is that, look, really all you're trying to do with this evidence is incite the jury. That if Alex could do this to his housekeeper, to the extension of his family, then he is a monster, right? And if he's capable of having done this, what else is he capable of doing? So it's all prejudicial. The probative value, the value that it actually proves something that he committed this crime, they contended was very small. But Judge Newman, I believe, correctly said, no, that's a matter for the jury to consider. You can argue that in the end if you want to, but I'm going to permit it to come in.
All right. We, of course, are hearing a lot about the financial crimes. And, of course, we are still looking to how, though these allegations of the financial crimes are very serious, for some inconceivable, we still have not seen that direct tie to the murders. So how do we start to tie all these loose ends together, and what should we, as observers of this process, what should we look and listen for?
So you're really hitting at the core issue. And this is the problem, A, with circumstantial evidence, and B, with character evidence, is that it does not speak to a single truth, right? If we have DNA evidence, it speaks to a single truth. If we have eyewitness testimony, it speaks to a single truth. Here we have circumstantial evidence. And we're trying to figure out, can we stack enough of that that ultimately will connect the dots, that will convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that Alec had malintent, that for whatever circumstances were surrounding him, that he broke that day, and that when he broke, he killed his wife and his son. But that is the problem with both character evidence and with circumstantial evidence. And the fear that you have is, in the end, if Alex is he convicted because he's a murderer, or is he convicted just because he's a really bad person?
And some of that would probably be challenged through the appeal process if there were.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed appeal if there's a conviction, no question.
All right. We appreciate your time as always and your conversation and insight. And of course,